Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where it right now is 16:30, whoo, 4:30, yet again, a day recording. I know, it's technically an afternoon recording, but still a bit of a pre-evening in there. It's during the day, the sun is out, woohoo, mind blown. 2 days in a row, I mean, what are the odds of that? Anyway, mates, we're getting straight into it today, because today I'm going to talk about something that I'm kind of annoyed by, yeah? There's many things I'm annoyed by, I grant you. But this particular thing is something that has bugged me for years. Yes, we're going deep. We're going like deep cut into my life of complaints. And that complaint is people living on old merits. I absolutely bloody hate it. I detest it so very much. It's like the worst thing I've known ever. Okay, that's probably a bit of an overstatement. But if we're talking like socially accepted things, you know, things that are generally accepted by society, that if someone lives on old merits, they're like, oh, well, it's okay. They used to do something really good like 15 years ago. That means that they're technically justified in not doing anything now. And I'm like, that's such... I don't understand that mindset. I mean, can you imagine you doing something really good today? Let's say, okay, I was gonna say saving someone, but that's probably something that you can ride your entire life on. But let's say that you make a really good report in, let's say, halfway through your career. You make a really good company report that basically saves the company millions and millions of dollars, right? So to put things into perspective. And then people are going to give you lots of praise for that, aren't they? They're going to be like, that's really good. Why are they going to do that? Well, because it probably was really good. You saved the company lots and lots and lots of money, which is always 2 thumbs fresh. Let's just say, well, let's throw in some CSR in there as well. So this thing that you did, this report that you made, didn't only save the company lots of cash, it also gave them a positive perception in the, well, in society, a socially favorable view. Perhaps you did something with helping someone find a home, or helped homeless, I don't know, animals or kids or whatever at the same time. However, 15 years later, you're still justifying your actions with that action 15 years ago. And this is something that I absolutely seen, not that specific example, but to a lesser extent, seen people been saying like, oh, you know, that guy's not doing so much, because right now I'm working, and I went up and I was like, dude, why isn't that guy over there doing anything? And that might be because I'm new at the work still, right? I'm full of energy and think that it's all fun, even though I do not to 100%, but still, I'm filled of energy at least, so I can do all the things they ask me for. And then when I go to a station or whatever that I'm supposed to work at, I see someone else who's a bit older, been there for a while, you know, a couple of years, doing nothing. Or at least in comparison to me, like, it's all relative, right? But according to how I would judge them to be able to produce, so I would say that they would probably be able to produce twice the amount of work that they do. Then I'm a bit like, wonder why they are not doing anything. And then I'll go ask someone, my superior or anything, because I might be thinking that, wait, maybe I'm doing something wrong, because if I'm doing, let's say, twice the amount of work that the other guy's doing, and he's been there for a longer while, then maybe I am missing something, and that's why I'm so much faster, right? Could absolutely be the case. So I went and I asked, and he was like, well, you know, Johnny, let's just call him Johnny, right? He's been working here for years. He was really good in the beginning. He's been doing this and this and that and that and you know, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, sure, because you can't really say anything about it at that point, now can you? You can't just be like, well, he's a bit of a twat right now, not doing anything. But it's still, you know, he's been at the company for a longer while, he probably knows a lot more stuff than I do, so even though he might be working slower, he might be more valuable to the company overall key competencies, and so on and so forth. Could be the case, but let's just say that this is a clear-cut case for what I'm trying to argue. So just for argument's sake, let's just say that he is not that very good, and this is the amount that he can produce. Or that he can produce more, but he isn't, because, well, he is kind of leaning towards something he did 15 years ago, or a couple of years ago. That pisses me off. Like, a lot. Because imagine, like, society overall, development, right? I mean, people leaning on previous achievements is the same thing as saying, let's stagnate development. Let's say I'm doing the best I can, I'm doing my best work directly when I start at a firm, or directly when I start at a company. Which is nothing wrong with that. You can probably do your really good work when you start working because you have all the energy yet again. You feel like everything's new and fresh and you're all happy about it. And you do something that's really good. Now, you can do one of two ways here. You can either, or well, you can do it three ways. You can either try and stay on that level and push yourself and try to improve. Or you can stay on that level and slowly decline, but not too much. But let's say that when you start, you're working at 100% or 110%, and then after a while you go down to like 90% of your capability just because you know what you're doing. You do not have to put in as much effort in order to yield the same outcome. Or the third reason, or the third way, you can say, wow, I'm really good at this, and then you just not give a shit for the rest of the time you work there. Not that you're going into work and being like, you know what, I ain't gonna do anything, but more like, you know, I did that thing, you know, a couple of years ago, and people are going to be like, yeah, you're right. So you probably know what you're doing. So, oh, sorry, who am I to say that you should increase the workload that you have, or increase the amount of effort you put in, or increase the amount of output that you actually get? Since you did that one really good thing like a couple of years ago, that probably means that you know exactly what you're doing. You see the kind of problem with that? Even superiors can't even say, you know, work, because, well, kind of did something really good back then. So if I put my mind to it, yeah, I know I can, and you've seen the proof of that I actually can do it. And they're like, yeah, that's true. So you not working as, or you not looking like you're working as hard right now is probably me just misjudging you because I know that you're good because of the things you did years ago. It's just ludicrous to me. And yeah, this stagnates development, because if everybody is thinking like that, they're kind of leaning on things they did years ago, then they will not push themselves and go beyond their limits. They will not try and produce more than they are capable of at this point in time, which means that if people don't push themselves, well, they can't break their limits. And if people don't break their limits, they can't go beyond what they believe they are capable of doing. And I would argue, right? I'll go as far as to argue that it's a lot of corporate social responsibility. It's a lot about corporate culture, yeah, the working culture at the company to address this issue. Because in some, let's not say an industry, right? Because that would be a harsh generalization, whichever industry I pick. But let's just say we're working with a culture where they do not encourage you to push yourself, so to say, and where there are, you know, there is a kind of leniency towards, oh, you're really good. We saw that you work like what, 60, 80 hours a day, you know, the first few years you worked here, and now you've tapped down on that, and we just assume that you work all the time when we see you, right? Then it's up to the corporate culture to being like, no, you know what? You worked really hard when you started there, which is good because you had to learn everything. We kind of get that. But right now we can also see that you're kind of not doing that. And the problem is when people say, well, but I did do this one big thing, and the company is like, oh yeah, you're right. Instead, the company should be like, yeah, you did do that one really good thing. And that perhaps held you for 6 months, maybe. But let's get into reality, right? Let's get down to business, literally. You still need to produce more of these things in order for us to actually trust that you can do them. It's not enough that you did one thing a really long time ago. You need to continuously improve and continuously do stuff. Now, yet again, to apply some context, this might be the perspective of a 22-year-old who does not have the entire perspective and the entire, what you would say, understanding of reality in any form of imagination of the word, right? Could be that I haven't actually worked for real yet. I've just been studying a whole lot and then working over summers and part-time during the semesters. Could very much be the case. It might be a totally different outset on life once you're actually in there in the 100% occupation all of the time, and people are like, you know what, someone doing something really good, that's good enough, right? Could be absolutely be the case, but it's just something that I feel is such a problem when I view just people overall, right? And it's not necessarily just in the corporations, it's also in like social groups or whatever. Someone doing something really cool or doing something really amazing, like 10 years ago, and then you just lean towards that their entire life and not actually develop themselves. Let's not just talking about social, but could be in their hobby, or could be their outsets in life, or could be their goals. For instance, many people that I know kind of say, you know, I went to university like 30 years ago. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's good, I guess. And what have you done since? And they're like, working in the same position for the last 30 years, haven't improved anything. I have no goals in life. You see the kind of the problem there? Living on old merits doesn't only hurt the people around you in the sense, right? In the sense, indirectly hurting the people around you in the sense that they do not help with development in either a corporation, their own life, or society. No, we also have the problem with the individualistic, egoistic perspective of if you do lean on, you know, previous achievements, that probably means you're gonna run out of goals pretty fast, pretty quickly, right? Because for instance, I could easily say that, you know, I've completed university. I'm done. That's the best and coolest thing I've ever done. Woohoo! I'm done for life. Set for life. Let's just give me an occupation. Let's give me a position at the workplace, and I will stay there until I'm a senior citizen. You know, till I'm 65, 70, whatever. And then I will take my senior citizenships. I will go off and I will die in silence and in peace. Could very much be the case. And I can all through my life be saying that, you know what? I went to university. I did my bachelor's. Yeah, you know, back in the day, did my bachelor's. But instead, I've put my mind to, you know, let's take a double degree. Let's take a master's. Perhaps a bit of a PhD thrown in there for just a mixture. And then I'm thinking, you know, I would like to work at the United Nations sometime in the future. Would be amazing. I would like to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Would also be amazing, right? There's all of these different outlets I have in life right now. And one could yet again argue that that is because I'm a 22-year-old who haven't really faced reality in all of its harshness yet. So that I'm allowed to still dream because I haven't yet come to the realization of the haha, dreams are for idiots, right? Because some people do have that perception, and that could be a reason for why they're looking back at the times when they were quote unquote allowed to dream, and when they actually, you know, did stuff, when they accomplished stuff. Now I do know, and this is probably important to take into consideration as well, many people that I've been talking to who are living on old merits are the same people who have families and feel like they're, how will I say this without being a jerk or a prick? Trapped is the wrong word, but I cannot find a better one in English. So the people who feel trapped, but by choice, and they wouldn't like to not be trapped, but they still feel trapped in a way because all of their time is taken up by their family, which yet again they prioritize and they want it to be their family, right? They're not sad about it. It's just that when you talk about, you know, oh, what's the best thing you've done except for your kids, right? Or something like that. They're always, you know, oh, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I did this, this, and this, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, so haven't you done anything more recent that you're proud of except for your family? And yet again, family and kids, probably, I can't say for certain because I don't have any kids, but I can imagine it's like the biggest thing ever and you don't care about anything else. Could very much be the case. I'm like 99% sure that is the case. But still, it feels kind of weird because when I'm talking to these people, they're happy about their kids and all of that stuff. But it very much feels like they want to do something, you know, just on their own. Just could be writing a book, could be starting a YouTube channel, for instance. Could be start singing, could be, I don't know, become a chair maker or whatever, become a boat maker, sail around the world. I don't know, but there's so many different goals that people seem to have, which they haven't really realized. Not that they haven't realized what they want to do, but they haven't actually realized, so to say, made them happen. Which I think is quite sad, because that yet again hinders development on a personal level, which will in turn affect their kids, which will in turn, that mentality kind of, which will in turn spread and then affect society as a whole. Now that is a very far-fetched idea, I get that, but still this idea of living on old merits, I do not think it's good. I really don't think it's a healthy mentality to live on old merits. And I haven't even taken up the biggest problem yet. And that is when you're supposed to fire someone at a company, and it turns out they've done something really great for the company. So you will look really bad, like it will look so weird if I fire this person, because everybody else at the corporation knows that 10 years ago this person saved the company. But ever since, they haven't done shit. Right? And that's also a problem of living on old merits. It could also be the case of, and I'm not saying like, oh, you shouldn't be able to call in a favor because I've done something for you last week, right? That's not what I'm saying. Of course, you should be able to live on those old merits, but it's kind of this time delay when it goes to, you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 5 years. Perhaps there's where it gets, you know, the 5 years and onwards. That's perhaps too long of a time to refer to something that you did that was great. Yet again, if you did save someone's life, save the world, or had kids, that's something that you're going to be able to refer to like forever, most likely, right? But for many of us out there, that is not the case. We haven't saved the world, unfortunately, haven't had the opportunity to save a life, what I know of, you know, tangibly. I'm not saying like, oh, donate money to charity so that in turn can save a life, because I have done that, but still doesn't feel like, you know, I've done anything. I've just been giving the money away, and then someone else who's actually taking the initiative, who is living on current merits, are actually doing something about it with my money. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. Anyway, I really thought this was going to be like a really short video on 2 sentences, like don't live on old merits, but yes, I had a few points to make, even if they were a bit abstract at times. But kind of the main points that I'm trying to convey here is that living on old merits, it's bad, because for once, society is stagnates based on it, because there's so many people in society who do not actually produce or make anything. They're just standing on the sidelines thinking that I'm not allowed to dream because that's too weird, so I'm gonna live on my old merits on what I did 20, 30 years ago and just try to get by on everyday life, which is very sad when you think about it. Yeah, so that's society. You also have a corporation, which is kind of bad as well, because you can't fire someone who's not doing a great job now because they did a really great job like 15 years ago, and you're like, that's 15 years ago though, and still the people at the corporation will be probably pretty mad if you fire them. So yeah, that's also a problem. Probably should have some form of corporate culture that kind of combats that. And then we have the personal individualistic, egoistic, yeah, there we go, point of view, that perspective, where it is, you probably will be more happy about yourself if you keep on setting goals, keep on allow yourself to dream, and keep on doing things, instead of thinking that, oh, my best years are behind me, the things that I've done that contributed to society the most, it's already behind me. And I'm gonna keep on referring to that, because I truly believe that I won't do anything in the future that will kind of tumble that and will be greater than that, which is also kind of a sad mentality, because that hinders development. And to some degree, I guess if you're like 70, 80 and you're thinking like, oh, I want to climb the Mount Everest, perhaps you should have a bit more of a realistic expectation, right? Perhaps, but still, writing a book can be in your future. But there's still but most people that I'm referring to are people who are like in their 30s, 40s, even their 20s, right? And they're saying like, oh, I did this years ago, and I'm like, so, does that really matter now? Anyway, yeah, kind of stagnates on a personal level as well, I figure. Yet again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm a 22-year-old who's viewing the world, right? So it might be that I'm saying might be. It's definitely is that I'm missing a lot of pieces of the puzzle, right? So just bear with me on that if you evaluate this. Context is important, right? Anyway, mates. Have a nice one. And I'll see you tomorrow.